You're tuned into Auto Intelligence, live from Auto Trader, where data, tools, and your preferences sync to make your car shopping smooth.
They're searching inventory.
Oh, yeah.
They find what you need.
They're gonna find it.
You can make a budget for your wallet to help you succeed. Pricing's precise and true.
So true.
It's smarter car shopping.
Ooh.
Just for you.
Oh, it's just for you.
Ooh.
Find your next ride at autotrader.com. Powered by Auto Intelligence.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. When you visit the doctor, you probably hand over your insurance, your ID, and contact details. It's just one of the many places that has your personal info. And if any of them accidentally expose it, you could be at risk for identity theft. LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second. If you become a victim, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Hi, this is Tony Ruggiero, and you're listening to the Tour Coach Podcast. Well, we're rolling into fall here on the Tour Coach. And for the fall, just like we've been doing for the last couple of years here on the Tour Coach, I'm going to be bringing you lots of chats, interviews, roundtable discussions on what we do, how we do it, from players to coaches to caddies, students. All of this comes from my travels that are on tour or to Old Palm or from here in Mobile or wherever it is I go around this country or around the world, teaching and coaching at the game of golf that I love. So hopefully if you listen, you're going to like what you hear. There's lots and lots of info and content coming your way that I think are going to help all of you understand and play the game even better or coach the game. We've got so many coaches that listen to this Tour Coach podcast. So appreciate all of you that have gone along with me on this journey for the Tour Coach. I didn't necessarily know where I was going with it when I started this. This is when the Dew Sweepers radio show ended on XM Sirius. But I can tell you that it has given me so much freedom and creativity to be able to talk a little more and a little more in depth and bring all of you a behind the scenes, inside the ropes look at what me and my team do and the people that we associate with it and how you can use us as a resource to help you get better at the game of golf. Look, and if you like what you hear on the Tour Coach, also make sure you check out our Pro Work video series, which is available for you on YouTube and my YouTube channel. If you just go on YouTube and type in Pro Work, it'll pull up the episodes that are out there. Some really, really great stuff that takes you behind the scenes and inside the ropes. And before I let you go to the Tour Coach, special thanks to my sponsors that have all been with me for such a long time. Shrixon Golf, been with them over 20 years. Can't find anybody better in the equipment side of the world. Bushnell Golf, such a big part of what we're doing with Pro Work and what I do day to day, especially with the Launch Pro. Vineyard Vines, Ian and Shep, Amber and the folks there always keep me looking great. We've been such great partners for a good long time. And lastly, McConnell Automotive here in Mobile, Alabama. Mitch McConnell and the gang, there's nobody that has supported me longer. I mean, they're unbelievable. And the folks at Buick GMC for supporting the Dew Sweepers radio show, as well as the Tour Coach and as well as Pro Work. So check out McConnell Automotive and Buick GMC. And lastly, my friend Blaine Stokely and Stokely's Midtown Garden Express here in Mobile. Those folks keep the Dew Sweepers and keep the Pro Work and the Tour Coach and all of our content alive and well for all of you that love the game and want to learn. Enjoy the Tour Coach podcast, which is coming your way right now. My good friend, one of the great teachers in the game of golf, been around a long time. That means he's old. We were just talking about that off the air. From up in Nashville, Tennessee, just up I-65 a little bit from me. Joe Hallett. Joe, what's going on, brother?
Tony, I think our pre-conversation, the more we talk pre-show, the more it's about what meds are we on and what is our exercise routine,
no kidding, huh?
et cetera.
Just don't make me stretch. But
no.
Anyways, look, you've been doing this a long time, had a lot of success. Stacy Lewis, lots of, a lot of LPGA players. Kind of wanted to pick your brain. We, interestingly enough, I thought about having you on. We ran into each other up at the Gurus of Golf up there, Rob's deal in Memphis, which was a fantastic event as always. But, I was like, I really wanted to have you on because you always have some really interesting insight to me, and sometimes I think it's good for me to pick the brains of people that maybe look at things different or come from different ways. To me, that's how you learn. If you only surround yourself with people that think just like you, I don't know that we progress very far. And, we have a lot of coaches. We have a lot of, obviously, golf geeks and nerds listen to this. If you're driving around listening to you and I on a podcast, you're probably qualified as a golf nerd. So, let's talk about players at the highest level and developing them and coaching them. Where do you start when a really good player, whether it's LPGA, PGA Tour, or just a good junior player comes to you? Where do you go first? Where do you start?
You know what, Tony, and I mean the accolades right back to you with having you work with kids who play at the highest level of college, and then even getting out of college and going to tour. That transition is one of the toughest ones, and I know you've done it over and over with players. But when I have someone who's a tour player or a top level amateur or a college kid come to me, I think that's one thing that you and I are kindred spirits on. We're less method teachers. So we don't take this person and say, how does this fit into my model of what science is telling me is, the most productive for getting the most distance or, putting the best, et cetera, et cetera. You and I look at both of those players, the ones that would come to us, and we go, they didn't get here by doing a whole lot of stuff wrong. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, I'm kind of focusing, and when you get someone with the highest level, you look at all their high points. You look at what they do good. And I don't want to give away trade secrets here, Tony, but specifically at that point, it's a lot about performance. And you and we're going almost over to the stats page and go, where is the lowest hanging fruit?
Right.
And sometimes you look at that and you go, well, can we work on your bunker percentage? It's only 31%, and if you could get that up to 40%, that would make a difference. And then that player looks at you and says, did you know last year I was only in 4 bunkers? And you go, well, we could skip that, and now we've got to go somewhere else. And that is literally a true story relayed to me by someone. I thought, oh, good, I found the magic formula. And I was like, you only hitting 4. And it's like, yeah, we never hitting traps. We're all we play away from them, we play over them, but find out what they're doing right. And then find out the next step for me is always, and it's in a fun way, the way you teach, Tony, it's kind of going, tell me the shot that gets under your skin. Tell me the one when you're playing and you're on the 12th hole and you look down on your bag and you go, don't you come out on this tee. Don't you stay in that bag right now. You do not come out on this hole. And as you get closer to and then you can kind of know that the player starts to open up a little bit and goes, oh, because they're going to tell you every bad shot that they hit. But when you get to the one that is, hey, here's the one that really gets under my skin, now you've got something where you've got a common ground and you can raise that bar for them a little bit so they can go, and this from the players you've worked with, you get on those rolls and all of a sudden that one shot shows up and, you want to look at that and go, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. That never happened. Move on to your next one.
Right.
But at the highest level, they're going, oh no, that block came back, or oh, there's that. I don't like that hook. I don't like that overdraw. And so, key on what they do good. Back up, find out the shot that really gets underneath them, and then find out, where are they gaining a stroke, and or can they gain a stroke? And sometimes the dumbest, easiest, lowest hanging fruit is to go take players to the putting green, and instead of hitting those 5-footers for hours, go work on 31-foot putts. If you 2-putt from outside 31 feet on both tours, you're gaining like 0.92 of a shot. And you know what? If you make one of those, you're almost gaining 1.7 shots on the field. And the funniest part is, to a T, Tony, and I know you've done this, and I know you've done it with juniors, I know you've done it with pro players. You go, which one of those holes over there is 30 feet? And they pick the longest one away, which is 65, and you point to the closest one, and they go, I got these all day long. Well, that's why we should practice them.
No question.
That's kind of my low-hanging fruit, but just our job, especially at the highest level, is to have them walk away with confidence, because usually when they come to you, they don't even think their good parts are good. They're worried about those.
Right. No question about it. And again, I think that I tell folks all the time, like, there's a difference to me. So like when a tour player, somebody at that level comes to you, they're already great. They're already, if they've got a tour card or they're any status anywhere, heck, they're in the top 0.5% or whatever. And so like you said, you're trying to find low hanging fruit. You're trying to eliminate, like, what's the bad shot, but it's totally different when like a good 15-year-old comes to you, right? Like, then you got time to, like, to me that, like, that's my real like that's the part I enjoy the most, right? I mean, obviously we all love a tour player coming to you. It's flattering and you enjoy the challenge. But like taking somebody at the beginning of the journey, where every answer isn't, I've tried that before, it didn't work. I tried that before, it doesn't work. Where they're more open, to me is the most fun. And where it's a little bit more of a blank canvas, right?
Tony, you just took the words out of my mouth, and especially with your listenership here, I am going to regret saying this, but literally you get that young guy or girl, and it is a blank canvas, and you are literally Bob Ross looking at him, and they go, where did that come from? And you go, that's just a happy little accident. We're going to turn that into a mountain, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, it is literally because they haven't had that, that enigma of, oh, that doesn't work. I did it one year and it didn't help me. Everything's an adventure. And, man, what a great spot to be on in an instructor. And, oh, by the way, they have flexibility, speed, and strength. So a lot of us aren't used to that.
Right. No. I mean, and I like my teaching has changed a lot. Not change. I don't think what I ask a player to do or what I'm looking for in a golf swing. I was so fortunate to have such a good base coming up under Hank Johnson and then Wayne Flint and, and Mark Wood. So I don't know that what I'm trying to get a player to do has changed like a crazy amount. I think my understanding of it's changed better or improved. And obviously with technology, we've got the way to, to measure and to figure things out quicker maybe. But the big thing is like with golf fitness and our understanding of it, like to me, one of the biggest things, Joe, is it like, when you get I've got this kid in North Carolina, good, maybe he's 15, 16 years old. And it's like, he's got a pretty golf swing, but he's nowhere near strong enough to do it with what he wants to do. Right. And it's to be able to take kids at these ages and get them really good fitness and golf specific stuff and movement patterns to where they can learn and develop quicker, and create speed the right way without jumping and flying all over the place, like is a huge thing to me. And I'm curious your thoughts on that because, and how have you approached fitness and not just with juniors, because I know you coach a bunch of them, but also into the ladies and the ladies side on the LPGA because you've been so active with that for so long.
One of the coolest things out there on the LPGA is, and I know I've said it 100 times, and I probably said it on your podcast, is to stand kind of back in the gallery on that first tee after you've worked with a player on the range and you walk up there and you're standing next to some 40-year-old guy who's a weekend golfer who's been dragged to an LPGA event against his will. And literally they tee off and the first word out of their mouth is holy. And all of a sudden they look back and they go, now wait a minute, they're playing the same tees I'm playing. And that is past where I hit it. And everything becomes relevant. Mm-hmm. Because they know they're not Tiger or Rory or Dustin or Koepka or any of these guys. They don't have a nutritionist and a massage therapist and a trainer. But immediately when a lady hits the ball and does what those ladies are doing out there right now, it all becomes relevant because that 40-year-old guy goes, I'm stronger, I'm bigger, and I'm a man. And they get that ego in there and they go, yeah. And that girl there hits it further than you. And it's like, it has to be something more than just brute strength. Show me something. And, out there, they really focus on technique, but they do everything they can to get as much out of their driver without swinging harder as they can. They are always tweaking shafts. They're looking, in the off season, they might come to you or come to me and go, can we change my approach angle a little bit? I know that I could get more distance out of the ball if I could hit it higher. I'm aging a little bit. How do we adjust my turn? Those kind of things. But it's never about swinging harder. And that is counterintuitive when you watch the guys because the harder you swing, the faster it goes. But for most decent players, if you can control your swing and let the club add yardage and let physics and launch angle and spin, let all that stuff add yardage, it's huge. So that's been a big thing, and that's something kind of learning. I've had a little fun. Bob Toski gave me a drill years ago, Tony, and I had to learn to do it with all my clubs, and I thought it was impossible. But you took your grip and you removed your right hand and you placed it over your left hand, so your right hand was on top of your left hand. You're kind of hitting a left arm only shot, but it has a little bit of help. And Bob would always say, you're never going to be able to swing faster than your lead arm can control. And there's a lot of truth to that.
Wow,
so
that's a good nugget right there.
Literally, for the younger kids, watching them do that drill at Toski, and of course they get the driver and it's hitting 5 feet behind the ball. It's two yards outside the ball. They're falling over. The club's coming out of their hand, and go, you learn how to make contact with this at a slower speed, and just like riding a bike, it'll speed up, but then your left hand is in control for all that power you're trying to put in there.
Man, that's good stuff. Really good stuff there. And again, interesting, like we'll shift to the men's game, and we're just kind of bouncing all over here today, but that's okay because it's good stuff. But, you were talking about the guys being out of control. Like, to me, a couple years ago, the poster child for that was Bryson, right? And I still, when I think of that, and when players come to you all the time and they talk about speed and should I do this, I just want to create more speed. I think of, Bryson, obviously, One Bay Hill, I think it was, with that crazy, I remember that drive where he hit on that par 5, right? But out of control. And then it was, and he's working with Dana Dahlquist, and I was walking, Andy was playing in the Live event in Orlando and was going to be on their team, and we were walking, and I just was noticing, and I told him, and then he played well at, in the majors after that, and I said to him, we were just chit chatting, and he's always super nice to me. I got nothing but great things to say about him, and I said, the biggest thing I think is he looked like, I said to him, I remember seeing him on his Walker Cup when he played on the Walker Cup over at Lytham St. Anne's and I was working with Robbie Shelton at that time I was like, he had an extra gear back then and could hit it plenty far, but he was more in balance and in rhythm. And I one of the things that I really like what he's doing now is, like, I just, I saw him at Augusta when I was there with Ben, and, he just looked to me like he's still got a lot of power, but he's still in balance. And going to your Toski point, like, I think one thing that is often overlooked in this scientific age where all anybody gives a shit about is, like, your vertical force on a swing catalyst, or they can take a picture of a quad or a Launch Pro and put it out there with what your speed number is, but nobody knows where the hell the ball went. I think one thing that gets crazy overlooked is the balance in the golf swing. And I still preach a lot of it. I'm curious what you think about it. And then going to what you said, I mean, on the lady side, I mean, that's one thing they do exceptionally well that players coming up of all levels could benefit from, I think. I'm off my soapbox.
The balance. No, Tony, exactly what you're saying is balance. And oddly, this tremendous player was just in the news on the European tour, Anne Van Dam. Mm-hmm. She is she is literally a poster child for swinging and balance, great posture, great. I mean, everything is, she's like the Da Vinci design of a human.
It's like Tiger 2000 to me.
Yeah.
Right.
It's we all know in our PGA, all the training we've had through the years, and loft and lie angle and path, and there's this one that hides down at the bottom there called centeredness of contact. It's like, if you can hit it closer to where the manufacturer is going, we'll give you a little secret. If you can hit it in this zone right here, you probably get 12 extra yards. If you can stay in balance, you can hit that area of the club more. You really can.
Yeah.
And that balance means control over your body, and control over your body in a way means you have control over the golf club, hopefully past impact.
Correct.
And like you and I were kidding in the off before we got on the show a little bit, is everybody's worried about jumping, and literally, I don't care if you do a cartwheel, just do it after impact. Don't do it before impact.
I mean, and again, now, like, if we keep going on this conversation, we're going to have a zillion people on social media start telling us we're wrong, I'm sure.
Of course.
But 80% of them have never taught anybody that could break 85, so I'm not too worried about them. But my thoughts is I want to get a player to create as much speed as they can as long as they can stay in balance, right?
There's a magic formula right there. I know I did a thing with our good friend Ed Ibargouin not too long ago, and I said, what if a guy comes along, somebody hiding out teaching somebody in Taos, New Mexico, and this guy shows up on the tour, and you go, This cat plays flat-footed and outdrives everybody. I'll bet you he's going to be a lot more accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, all of a sudden you combine a combination with, hey, there's stability and power right now. And, to everybody that's doing it, I don't think we're naysayers. I'm like, let's keep looking. Right now we found a way to add power and use the vertical forces. And boy, can that make a difference with somebody, even if it's just the way you set into the ball.
Right.
Setting more weight on your right side, that has helped us so much. And now that we got that power, let's kind of key over there and go, how do we make that a little more stable? And
right.
It's, there's no, again, like the social media, there's no naysayers. It's kind of you and I going, no, what you guys have done with all your research and you've done with all these trials has shown us there is a way to get extra yardage without swinging harder, coiling further, getting outside of a good, body turn, whatever it is. You gave us a way to put a little oomph at the bottom.
Yeah.
Now, let's not assume that's the only way. Let's keep going and going. Wow, how can we make that more accurate?
No question. I mean, I think that's, and that's like when it comes to developing players coming up. Like to me, that's what I'm trying to do. Like I'm trying, what can we do to help them, create a more powerful swing, and can we improve their turn back, how they deliver the club, all of that stuff from a golf swing perspective, and still, and create speed, but still be able to deliver it in a balanced fashion so that they can find it. Right. I mean, and I think that's one of the things, like this long drive stuff's cool. And I had a guy come to me, recently wanted to do something. I mean, I'll be honest, like if you're a long drive guy, I don't know that I'm your guy, because I spend most of my time trying to get people to hit it further, but still be able to play it,
Right. Exactly. We're just going to try and keep you in the grid.
Right,
and,
right.
as we're on this conversation, it's great because there's probably, if this was a phone in, there'd be some guy from over there in Sea Island whose last name is Harmon who would go, that's all good, but there's another formula that works out here. And I'm going to tell you, when the weather turns bad and it gets windy, us guys that don't put that incredible crush factor and all the spin on the ball, we tend to find our balls a lot easier while the elements are trying to toy around with it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I mean, that was another, I think when everybody goes through that, you see all these guys and girls and kids and amateurs trying to hit it further, and they're, trying to launch it way up. You go to a tour event, there are guys that do try to swing way up and launch at it. But man, I'm going to tell you, a lot of the best drivers in the world, that ball's pretty damn flat coming out. And I mean, I was fortunate to spend 5+ years or so with Lucas Glover, who has played some phenomenal golf of late, and is a prince of a guy, one of the best ever. Man, that guy could drive his golf ball up a gnat's ass, right? And it was flat
literally
as could be coming, right? And I mean, and heck, I've watched 8 zillion of his drivers. Man, that attack angle never gets 4 or 5 up.
Wow. And it's
pretty level. Pretty level. Maybe one up.
There is, Tony, and you're the host of this thing, but I would throw a question back at you. And I would say I've seen on the ladies' side, I've seen it do more harm than good. And I think it relates over to a little bit of the collegiate side. Mm-hmm. And I also think it relates over to the good amateur side. And there's a point where all of a sudden, and I could start going down and naming the names throughout the past 10 to 15 years, where a player goes, if I don't hit it 10, 15 yards further, I'm not going to be out here on this tour much longer. Right. And the minute they go chasing distance, everything disappears. Everything disappears. And I've seen it happen out there on the LPGA. I've seen college kids who are the shortest drivers on their team with a 301 average. Like at Vanderbilt, I feel bad for those kids because you got Gordon Sargent on the team, and you're 40 yards behind him if you're hitting at 300.
Exactly.
But, I've seen kids on those squads, and the coaches have come by and they've picked up the TrackMan or the Foresight, and they've gone, don't you dare use this. I'm going to give you the best advice ever, young man. You keep playing your game and you learn how to make one more putt, because they know what the outcome is of it. And I'm kind of I don't know if I'm on a soapbox, but I'm kind of preaching a little bit to the parents. If your boy or girl is only a club behind the people that they're playing with on an approach shot, then they don't need that distance off of the tee. And if you go chasing it, you're in for it's it's not a coaster anymore. It's a roller coaster.
I taught a young guy, played, from high school through college to the tour for Korn Ferry, to the tour for a long time, 12 years, whatever. We split and all of that, and he's still on tour, but has struggled a little bit. Like he would go on these. When he played his best golf, it was a ball that was straight, fell right. I mean, was he the longest guy? No, but he was, he was All-American, played on Walker Cups, all that stuff. Great player. Got his tour. We would argue, you're a great player. You've made the PGA Tour. Chasing 10 yards, that's a hell of a risk for a player at that level to me. And to me, that player needs to go back to where you started this whole conversation, which is okay, is 8 yards really going to make me a top 10 player in the world? And is it worth the risk? Or are there other low-hanging fruit things that I can do that can make me one of the best players in the world? And I think I think the whole distance thing is an easy thing teachers throw out there. So, we'll get you more distance, and everybody buys into it. But I don't always think that that's the magical mystery cure for people to get better.
No, it's not. And I've always kidded with one of the young ladies that I work with out there. And it got to a point where they grind so much over, and they're always practicing those 3-footers and those 5-footers. And I kind of said, here's a fun little drill you can do. And if you accomplish it, you can go home early. And it's putts outside 30 feet. And then finally we got chatting and I go, do you ever play with anybody who just makes bombs all day long? And they're like, oh, yeah, so-and-so. It is so annoying to play with her because she doesn't hit it anywhere. But dang it, if she doesn't make everything. And I go, don't you really want to be that person? And then all of a sudden they started cracking up and they go, oh, that would really be mean because I can hit it by almost everybody out here. And now if I'm making bombs, they're going to get so disgusted they won't be paying attention to their own game. And I go, now we're thinking on the same. Now you're in a little bit of Lee Trevino area where you're like, because you and I have played with that person. You're like, don't even watch. If they're 40 feet away, right, just add 1 to their score and then go to the next tee because that's what's going to happen. And you become that player, and it's a good stigma, but I think from the outside, people think it's a bad stigma. Oh, they have to rely on their putting. No. Oh, yeah. You're going to start making one of those around. You're like, oh, baby, it's on. It isn't a hot day putting. It's on.
Right. Exactly. And I think that's the thing. And I know golf courses have changed, and I know, heck, when players come to you now and their aspirations are to play at the highest level, certainly on the men's side, power and distance is a factor, right? I mean, if a guy comes to you and he's 25 and he can only hit it 260, he's probably going to be a good mid-am player, right?
Yes,
let's face it, right? But there's a difference between being able, 280, 300, you can still play, heck, especially when golf courses get firm, right? I think you could still, I always tell folks, your job is, I tell this story, and you'll like this. I had a young guy was a really good JUCO player, he was ranked 2 or 3, made a USAM. Was up at it was up at Olympia Fields in Chicago, and I had him play a practice round with 2 guys I was teaching at that time from Alabama, and both playing the tour now. And he couldn't hit it very far. He got annihilated in this practice round. He was devastated. Oh. And I remember his dad saying to me, well, why'd you do that? And I said, well, he's wanting to turn pro after this. This is who he's going to play against. He's got to figure out with his skill set how to beat them.
Ain't that the truth?
Right. And that's ultimately what golf comes down to. With your skill set, how the hell do you beat these other guys?
It is the ladies coach at Arkansas, Shauna Estes Taylor. Mm-hmm. She has a great saying, and she goes, they might out-hit you, but if you're on my team, don't you dare let them outsmart you. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, that is a nugget right there. Because if you're just going to play stupid and try and keep up with them, you're going to lose. You got to figure out you got to outsmart them on the first tee. Don't let them outsmart you. Mm-hmm. I can take it if they can out-hit you and they beat you. But, man, if you play like a dum-dum, It's crazy.
I had a conversation with Andy Ogletree on the last pod we put out, and it was just about like he's one of the best that I've been around at how to play a golf course, and he's like, okay, I don't have to hit it perfect. What is the ball doing today? How do I get it around the golf course to shoot 68?
Isn't that the craziest thing? It is a way, and boy, oh boy, you're talking to a guy who always wanted to hit it great, and the only way you could play good is if you hit it great. I can tell you, years ago at one of the KPMG Women's PGA Championships, I was walking along with Lizette Salas, and she absolutely hit the ugliest, in the practice round, the ugliest 3-wood that you could ever see. Kind of came off the heel, a little low, pole slice. And then she's looking over at her caddy. She goes, Cole, give me another ball, please. And then she hits the most beautiful shot you've ever seen, and it's kind of like you looked at, what was that? Well, your stance was a little wide in that. She hits the most beautiful shot you've ever seen. And she walked up and she just started shaking her head. Those 2 golf balls were 1 yard apart from each other.
Amazing, isn't it?
And look at, where does my good shot get me? And where does my bad shot get me? Turns out they get you pretty close to the same spot.
So look, you've been with the best players in the world, and on the ladies' side, and major champions, coached them. What to you, as we start to wrap this up, what to you is the difference between the very best and the ones that win majors, best players in the world? What separates them from the ones that, because we've also, as teachers, I know you have, we've coached them that get close but don't get over the hump, don't get their card or flounder to stay there, or the ones that coming up look pretty good but don't get there. What's the difference? What's the dividing line that you see there?
Boy, is that, there's been books written about this stuff. Are they an outlier? Do they have grit? From a golfing standpoint, the thing that I see in the really great players, and I know you might substantiate this a little, is there's a patience to the process. Mm-hmm. And that process isn't necessarily the swing. Sometimes it's, hey, I'm practicing smarter. These shots are going to kick in. And so oftentimes you think the work you're putting in, it takes 2 months or 3 months sometimes just to make the tiniest change. Or if you're going to go play Pinehurst in the U.S. Open, I had a player one year, they started trying to hit the ball higher 3 months ahead of time. They were trying to do it the week ahead of time. They're trying to learn how to hit it higher ahead of time, even though it might not positively affect some of their results in other tournaments. But the thing that those players at the highest level have is patience, and that patience literally gives them a calmness inside. And this is going to sound like the dumbest thing ever, which anybody that ever listens to me, it could be every sentence. But they're really just trying to get themselves in contention and position to win. If they're hitting on all cylinders, that's a different story, mm-hmm. But I mean, as they're in those major championships, very seldom, and it happens every great once in a while. I know that Patty Tavatanakit just walked away with the ANA Inspiration, her first major. But the really solid ones are always going, just get me in that last group or next to last group. That's my goal. So I'm not going to push. I'm going to play very smart and see if I can inch my way up there. And if I'm up there, good things are going to happen. It might not happen the first time, might not happen the second time. But when it happens, it's going to happen. And because of that, they believe it. It isn't they're charging to the front, and when they don't make it, they got to replan and retool to try and charge again. No, there's a patience in there.
Patience. That's a great, that's awesome. Joe, this has been fun. We need to do it more often. As always, I appreciate you taking the time. You're always the best every time I see you. I know you get to hang out there, you and Brady, and hanging out there out in Palm Springs a good bit in season. Hopefully, I'm trying to find out what a fat Italian guy's got to do to get invited out there to hang out with y'all. But I'm going to come hang out this season.
Dude, I hope so. All you got to do is offer to make dinner once, and I think you're a member.
Not hard. Joe, you're the best as always. Keep up all the great stuff. Good luck to you and the ladies over there at the Solheim Cup. It'll be fun, and I'm sure we'll talk soon.
You got it, my friend. Thanks again, Tony.
I hope you enjoyed this edition of The Tour Coach and this conversation that we brought to you about playing, learning, and teaching the game of golf. We'll be back next week with another edition of The Tour Coach. In between now and next week, make sure you follow us on our social channels. You can always find me at The Dew Sweeper on Instagram, or go to our YouTube page where you'll see a scene and a video from my teachings daily on our YouTube channel. You can find that by looking up Tony Ruggiero and the Dew Sweepers on YouTube. Until then, make sure you follow and check out Everything Tour Coach and all our sponsors, Srixon Cleveland Golf, Bushnell, Vineyard Vines, and Buick GMC. I'll be back next week to help all of us appreciate, learn, and enjoy the game of golf.